Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamline Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. Tonight we're talking about custom fields. And if you search our YouTube videos, you will find that I did make a video in the past which specifically discussed the different types of custom fields that Clio in particular has to offer. There's things like checkboxes and pick lists and stuff like that. But what I want to talk about tonight a little more specifically is why and how we're creating these custom fields. So we're going to talk about what are the reasons for having custom fields and how custom fields can be helpful for you. And there's three main reasons that I want to dive into. First of all, let's jump into the screen and I'll show you some few examples while I give you my reasoning. So here we've got a case in Clio and we've got our Smith versus Smith. The Smiths are getting a divorce. And so what you'll see is once I went to the dashboard of the case, I can now click on this custom field tab and it brings up all my custom fields. Now these have not been filled out or completed yet, but these are the custom fields that I've set up for this particular matter. And of course, this is a family law divorce case. However, this same theory can apply to personal injury or any other practice area, and we'll talk about those as well. So the very first reason, again, there's three main reasons why we're going to be using these custom fields. Number one is for a quick reference dashboard. And that's exactly what you can see I have set up here. This is quick reference information that I might need. So for example, if the client calls and starts talking about Karen, and I don't know who Karen is, and I notice that, child number 2 is named Karen, that's my quick reference, right? Or if an adjuster calls and starts talking about the file, and I've forgotten if there was another person in the car with my client or not, and that kind of detail can be housed in a custom field. And so instead of me having to rummage through a bunch of papers in a file or search through my emails to try and make sure I'm up to speed on what the caller is talking about, I can now just simply type in the name of the matter when they call and get all of this information at my fingertips. And so when I'm talking to opposing counsel, I know exactly who the judge is that he's talking about going in front of. I've got all of this information right here at my fingertips, and that can be very, very helpful, especially if you're working in a high volume scenario, or especially if you're in a situation where you just aren't remembering things very well, frankly. I do recall after having my first child coming back to practice, and that whole no sleep and mommy fog brain and all that kind of stuff is legit. And the custom fields saved myself more than once. And so it was really, really helpful to have this information there. And, let's face it, when we're working with a lot of different clients and a lot of different files, there is this time where we just need to make sure we're talking about the same thing and the right thing. And so custom fields, especially in the form of a quick reference dashboard, can be really, really helpful. The second reason that we're going to start collecting information for custom fields is that we're going to try and track some data across our different cases. So for example, if I wanted to track what types of injuries I was getting in my personal injury practice, let's say I'm, tracking this one was a loss of a limb, or this one was a head-on collision, or, whatever my injury was, head injury, we can go ahead and track that for each of my cases. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the year, at the end of the quarter, I can go back and compare across all my cases the different types of injuries that we had signed up. In addition to that, I could also track the settlement amount once these cases settle. Again, this is a personal injury example, but I could track how long it took to settle. I could track who the insurance company was. I could start comparing that stuff across all of my cases and get some really valuable data and information. So no matter what practice area you are, those are the kind of things that we can track in a custom field. For estate planning, we could track, when they came in and when the documents were signed and how long in between that was, so that we could go ahead and track how quickly we're able to get these estate plans done and out to our clients. So no matter what practice area it is, there's always something that we could track across our cases that will give us some insight as to how we're performing, or what kind of cases our marketing is bringing in, or how successful our cases are. Those are the kind of things that we can look at and track information in a custom field. And then the third and final thing, especially within Clio, but also within other programs, is the ability to do some type of document automation. Now, Clio has a very strong document automation capability. It also syncs with other programs that allow for document automation through the custom fields. And so the more custom fields you're using or data you're collecting in those custom fields, the more likely you'll be able to use that for document automation. Even if you're not doing the document automation right now, I would still highly encourage you to start collecting things like, what county is it in? What's the case number? What courthouse is it in? What judge is it in? Because once we start preparing notices and pleadings and things like that in document automation, now we're already going to have all that data collected. We don't have to go back and figure it all out and put it in. It's already in there waiting to go, so that once we build out our document automation, whether it's in the practice management or another software that integrates with it, we can use those fields and that information in order to complete our documents. So I would highly recommend, again, even if you're not doing the document automation right now, start collecting that data and that information that you think will be helpful for the document automation, so that you can go ahead and have that all ready to go once you start with the document automation. So again, to review, we've got three main reasons that we're using these custom fields. Number one is as a quick reference dashboard to keep us on our toes, make sure we know what we're talking about at all times. Number two is for tracking data across all of our cases, if we want to aggregate any of that data to get some really great information about our cases and about our practice. And number three is for document automation. So please do keep those things in mind when you are developing your custom fields. And keep in mind also, you don't have to think of them all at once, right? You can come up with a couple here, start using them, add a couple there, start using those. And before you know it, you've got 15, 20 pieces of information that are going to be really helpful down the road. So keep those three reasons in mind. Again, check out our earlier videos from 2 years ago that talks about the different types of custom fields, so that you're using the fields that are most appropriate and helpful for you. And join us again next time. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a great evening.